One day, a rich father wanted to teach his son what being wealthy was all about. So he took his son outside of the town and they went to this village to go stay with a very kind family for the weekend. And after the weekend was done, they came back and the father asked the son, he said, "So, son, what did you learn?" The son responded, "Well, Dad, I learned that we have one dog and they have 4 dogs. We have a chlorinated pool and they have a river with fresh water. We eat food out of plastic containers. They eat food straight from an organic garden. We live in a home surrounded by walls and city lights. They live in a structure surrounded by nature and under the stars. So thank you, Dad, for showing me that we are the ones who are poor." In modern society, too many people are overstressed, overwhelmed, burned out. Chronic disease and poor mental health are proliferating. They're wreaking havoc in our lives. Rates of illness, depression, even suicide are skyrocketing. And sadly, this is also impacting our children. There was a Wall Street Journal article that said that 45 million kids in the United States of America are on antidepressants, anti-anxiety, and antipsychotic pills. But it doesn't have to be this way. Ayurveda, which means the science of life, comes from ancient India over 5,000 years ago, but it's still as relevant today as it was back then. And this particular modality addresses every dimension of the human being, the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. And it really provides a kind of a roadmap, so to speak, of how to live a life of physical and mental health and well-being. And in Ayurveda, it all starts with these 5 elements that are known as the Mahabhutas, which are earth, water, fire, air, and space. Now, the origin of the 5 elements is kind of a fascinating one, because in the beginning, the very first element was just pure, boundless space. And then in that space, we started to get these little molecules that were moving around, and that became the next element, which is the element of air. And as these air molecules began to proliferate and grow and increase in size and number, eventually they would rub up against each other or collide, and that would create a type of light and heat, or the next element of fire. Now, the element of fire has a beginning, a middle, and an end, just like our sun does. And eventually, the fire can only get so strong and so bright before it has to evaporate and cool down into a type of moisture, and that brings us to the element of water. And then gradually over time, water begins to crystallize and harden into the last final element, which is the element of earth. So that's how these 5 elements came to be. And in Ayurveda, they take these 5 elements and they merge them into what's called the doshas. And there's 3 doshas, which are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And these 5 elements exist not only within the outer world, within our universe, but they also exist within us. So for example, the element of earth, we see that within our bones, our nails, our teeth. The element of water, we see that within all the fluids within our body. The element of fire is reflected within the digestive process and metabolism. The element of air, the air that flows in and out of our body, in and out of our lungs through the respiration process. And also air that moves nerve impulses throughout the whole entire body, and even moves thoughts through our mind, is all governed by air. And then lastly is that element of space. And we know that our body is made of 99.999% space. We're more space than we are anything else. So in Ayurveda, they believe that within the micro, we also are connected to the macro. And again, connected to those 3 doshas. And each one of us is born Similar to how you have a unique fingerprint that nobody else in this world has, we're all born with a unique doshic fingerprint, so to speak, a combination of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha that's unique to you. And in Ayurveda, that's called Prakriti. And that's your signature, that's your baseline for health and wellness and longevity. Ayurveda guides us to live in sync with the 4 seasons: spring, summer, winter, and fall. It's this recognition that nature has its own cadence and also its own pace. One afternoon, a Taoist master who also happened to be a farmer took his students out into the field, and he instructed all the students to take a seat and just quietly observe and watch the crops. And after some time he had passed, he went on to say that everything in nature has its own rhythm. And I could go out there and I could water the plants twice as much, but that would drown the plants. I could also give the plants twice as much sun, but that would burn the crop, burn the plant. And so it's also true within our own lives. And when we try to force and push and manipulate things faster than they're meant to unfold, what do? We create stress and we create anxiety within our own minds, within our own selves. Stress and anxiety is connected to an imbalanced Vata dosha. So the teaching and the invitation is really to trust in our lives, just like we have to within nature, that everything has its own rhythm and its own pace. As Lao Tzu said, nature never hurries, yet everything is accomplished. And when we have that mentality, we start to shift away from a state of stress into a state of ease. It was once reported that 95% of the people that walk into a doctor's office is related to stress. So unless we're dealing with that and dealing with mental health, we're not really getting to the root of so many of the illness and disease on the planet. And that's one of the things that makes this modality of Ayurveda so incredibly powerful, is that not only does it address the body, but it also addresses the mind, the heart as well. And so the students with the farmer, they learned what the lesson was, which is to live in harmony with nature, to yield to it instead of being disconnected or separated from it. I'll never forget when I went and received my first Ayurveda treatment. It was in Santa Monica, California. I walked up the stairs and it was a student clinic, so the students took me into this room. And they spent almost an hour asking me just question after question after question. They checked my pulse, they looked at my tongue. After all that was done, we began to move to this really epic series of body treatments, which started off with a four-handed oil bath massage known as Abhyanga. And after the massage was done, then they took me to a steam box that had all this fresh eucalyptus steam just pervading the entire box. Once that was done, they brought me back to the table. They did a treatment called Nasya, where they put a little bit of warm oil into the nose, which is really good for your sinuses and your eyesight, your vision. And then the dessert at the end of all of that was a treatment called Shirodhara. And that's where you lay down and they pour this steady stream of oil right here at the center of the forehead. It connects to what we call a marma point, an energy center, and runs all the way down to the crown of the head to other marma points as well. And it just sends you to heaven. If you can imagine the world's greatest spa treatment, and multiply that times infinity, that's how this Ayurveda treatment was. It was like I felt completely reborn, rejuvenated after that. So it inspired me, and I ended up signing up for an introduction to Ayurveda class. I had to learn what was this magic that happened. And I went on and eventually completed a whole entire 660-hour certification program. Became an Ayurvedic practitioner, opened up my own clinic in Venice, California, where I could provide to other people what I had experienced myself. We have to stop looking at ourselves as being separate from nature. When we harm nature, when we violate nature, it naturally harms us. When we deplete its precious resources, that's going to have an impact on us as well. A shaman was once asked, "What is poison?" The shaman responded, "Anything beyond what we need is poison." Greed is the ultimate fuel for this poison. Greed over food, selfishness, power. In order to avoid poisoning yourself, others in the world, you have to keep at bay the hungry ghost. Because no matter how much you feed it, its hunger will never be satisfied. How can we live this life of wisdom? What are the true medicines that will address this poison? It's really about living a life of simplicity, of balance, and of gratitude. As Gandhi said, the world has enough for everyone's need, but not everyone's greed. Now, the good news is that where there are problems within humanity, there are also solutions within nature. I'll never forget one time being in Bali, and we were in this group that was being led through these rice paddies and through the forest, and every 5 or 10 minutes the guide would stop and he would point at something like a plant, and he would say, "If you ever get bitten by this venomous snake, right there's the plant that has the medicine to heal the venom." And then we proceeded to walk further, and he would point out some big leaf, a banana leaf. He'd say, if it starts raining and you forget to bring your umbrella, you just grab that leaf and that becomes your umbrella. And then we'd walk further, and he would point out all these herbs and spices, and he would have us gather that. We'd go to this hut in the middle of the rice paddies, it's pouring rain, and we would make and brew this fresh tea, and that was good for your immunity and your health and your well-being. So nature is a provider, and nature has everything that we could ever want. And of course, Ayurveda is a big proponent of being in attunement with the natural laws of nature. There was a study that was done in the Journal of Environmental Health and Preventative Medicine. What they did was they took 2 groups of people. One group they left in the city, and the other group they sent out to the forest for a couple of nights. And what they found is that the group of students that went out to the forest, their cortisol levels, which is a biomarker indicative of stress, had plummeted far less than the group that was in the city. There was also another study that was done by Stanford. And what researchers found was that after a 90-minute nature walk, as opposed to an urban walk, is that people showed decreased neural activity in the part of the brain associated with anxiety and depression. So clearly our time spent out in nature has an impact on our overall health and well-being. In the Shaolin tradition, they have what's called the 6 doctors. And the 6 doctors are good water, good air, sunshine, right diet, exercise, and rest. When we come into harmony with nature through a holistic system like Ayurveda, then we come back to the things that truly matter. Our days are abundant with joy, health, meaning, and purpose. And isn't this how we should really define success? Here's a poem called Success by Ralph Waldo Emerson, who puts it like this: to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find beauty in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know that one life has breathed easier because you lived here, this is to have succeeded. So may we tap into this tremendous wisdom of Ayurveda and always and forever remember that our greatest success in this life is contingent upon the remembrance that we're all in this together. As a prolific author and doctor of Ayurveda, Vasant Lad said, "We are the world, and the world is us."